Hello and welcome to this edition of EMSNow Up Close. I am Eric Miskell with EMSNow, and today I get to speak to Victor Meijers. He's the Senior Vice President with ECIA, the Electronic Component Industry Association. Victor, it's good to see you again. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. I appreciate being on. As a nonprofit, we don't have a huge marketing budget, so anytime I could talk about trusted parts is a great chance for me. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Absolutely. And listen, that's exactly what I want to talk to you about is trusted parts. ECIA has had this for quite a while. And, you see other people coming out with their platforms, especially over the last few years, we seem to have more of them. But I wanted to hear about trusted parts a little more. So why don't you just start there? What is it? How is it developed? Kind of what makes it unique?
Sure, absolutely. So, the inventory aggregation sites have been around since probably the late 2000s, right? And one of the things that happened was as those platforms started coming out one by one, a number of our member companies, distributor members of ECIA, noticed that there really wasn't any distinction being made between authorized and unauthorized sources for products, right? There was a great blend of products available on these sites, and you really didn't have any idea where these products were coming from. It was kind of the Wild West. And so a group of our member distributors got together and decided to form what initially was branded as ECIA Authorized, which was a site dedicated to only authorized sources. And so that was rebranded a couple of years ago to become Trusted Parts, but it's been in existence, 12, 14 years now, I guess. But the whole premise is it's only authorized, and that's what makes it somewhat unique. In recent years, some folks have kind of caught up onto that idea. And so if you go on some of the other sites, they'll actually have a distinction between franchise or non-franchise, authorized, unauthorized. There's actually one site out there that even tries to add legitimacy to some distributors by saying they're quote unquote an ECIA member, which, sounds great, but doesn't really mean much. But, in our case, we actually ask for and demand proof of authorization for any products that a distributor wants to list on our site. And that proof is really validated by the manufacturer. So it can be an email from the manufacturer lists them on their site as an authorized distributor. Or some cases we get a copy of the franchise agreement so we can see that in fact it is validated. But we do that. We store those proofs of authorization on our site in the background. We do audits on that. We even allow manufacturers to come in and through the manufacturer portal make adjustments to our system if they see somebody that is not authorized or needs to be added as authorized. So we do quite a bit of work on that side. And I think that really makes us unique and hopefully gives folks confidence that what they're buying, is valid, authorized product.
So who then can use the site?
Anybody.
Okay.
It's not limited to anybody in particular. In fact, most of our users, quite candidly, are anonymous. We don't require for use of the site. We don't necessarily require somebody to create an account. Although for some tools, you do require an account. For instance, if you want to create and save a bill of materials, for use in the future, then an account is required. But for the most part, it's anybody can come on board and use it. We don't track that information all that much. That was part of the plan when we initially put it together. We try not to get in between the customer and the distributor. We just try to facilitate getting customers to authorized sources.
Yeah. So that's an important part then. So the transaction isn't conducted on Trusted Parts site. That's just the intro. You
Correct.
search for your part, you have it, they have it, then it goes directly to that distributor.
Right. So what our site really does is it allows the user to really see comparative data in one place, right? Rather than having to go to all these individual distribution sites, you can see everything in one place. Again, we provide all kinds of different information regarding the various products, not just price and availability, which is obviously there, but we also have other components to that. But you can see all that, and then there's typically a view or a buy button that allows the user to go directly to that distributor site. Okay. To buy the product. So again, we don't get in the middle of that. We don't actually track what they actually do once they leave our site. that is between the customer and the distributor. We don't get in the middle of that.
Okay. Actually, let me back up get out of the technical part there. Speak to, you keep saying it's the authorized distributor. So why is it so important to source the components through that authorized channel?
Yeah, well, I mean, the short answer is it's about avoiding counterfeit product getting into your supply chain, right? I mean, I think it's interesting. We toss around this idea of an authorized distributor, and I get asked that all the time. Is so and so an authorized distributor? And there's really no such thing. The fact of the matter is that a distributor is authorized by a manufacturer for a certain set of products. Sometimes it's their whole entire product line. Sometimes it's a sub brand in certain territories. Right now, you've got folks that are authorized for the entire product line globally, but it also goes all the way down to country, goes down to a specific subset of products in a specific area. And so you really have to look at the entire chain, if you will, to say, are they authorized or are they not? Because it's really instant, by instance by instance.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea behind authorized isn't just, okay, so somebody buys product directly from the factory and therefore I know it's a real part, right? There's actually, SAE came out with a standard that was really an anti-counterfeiting or a counterfeit mitigation standard for distribution. They came out with that back in 2014, which really outlines a whole bunch of different things that somebody who is engaged in authorized distribution is required to do. That includes things like internal processes, right? If you get product in, if it's franchise product, you need to be able to keep that separate from non-franchise product. If it's a customer return, you need to keep that separate. There's traceability components and documentation that's required. There's proper handling and so on and so forth. So there's a whole slew of things that come with acting as an authorized distributor that non-authorized sources obviously most often don't do. I think from a purchasing perspective, there's really two things that come to bear in this regard in that particular standard. That is, one, it's not that a quote unquote franchise distributor cannot sell non-franchise products, but they have to tell the purchasing person or the buyer at the time of quoting that they are not authorized for that particular product, so that the buyer is fully aware that there are risks and limitations to getting this product from that distributor. That's why oftentimes non-franchise is actually quoted as NCNR product, right? Because at the end of the day, there's no warranty, there's no factory support, and so the distributor obviously wants to make sure that they're covered as well. Yeah. The other thing is related to warranty, and that is that an authorized distributor is contractually obligated to support and provide factory warranty per the terms of their contract. And so that's another really key piece. So and that really is what differentiates authorized distribution as a term, if you will, from non-authorized sources. There's a lot more to it than that. There's a lot of value that they bring to the table that we often don't talk about.
Okay. So how many roughly are involved on Trusted Parts?
Yeah, so when you look at all our regions, we have a little bit over 100 distributors now involved in that, predominantly in the Americas, but we continue to grow in the other regions as well. We certainly have all the global players. They're all on board and have been for quite some time. So we have quite a bit of the industry covered.
Okay. So now let's get back into kind of the how. So how does the searching for components on the site actually work?
Yeah. Well, so traditionally, up until about a year and a half ago, not even, I guess about a year ago or so, you basically entered in a part number in our search box and you ended up getting results. So you could put in a complete part number, you could put in a partial part number, and we gave you things that matched, which is where a lot of the industry was for quite a while. But recently, one of the new features that we actually put together was you can actually search now by parameter as well. So whether it's a part attribute or whether it's, we actually have part categories on our website that you can actually drill down. So you can start with semi to go to logic IC to go to blah, 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 all the way to the end. And then even within those end results, you can filter by attribute, right? And really narrow it down to a set of part numbers or a part number. So that's quite different, and it's something that we're making a big splash about now. We we came out with it a while ago, but as all things, we want to be careful and make sure we don't make a big splash until all the bugs are worked out. And
Right.
luckily, we really haven't had any, but we tend to be cautious in that regard.
Yeah.
The other option is that's basically single part search. The other option is doing a part search by bill of materials. So we have really two versions of our BOM tool that we call that. One is the standard BOM tool, which you can search up to 100 part numbers at a time. If you create an account, you can request access to our extended BOM tool, which is 1,000 part numbers at the same time. And that gives you basically a gigantic spreadsheet, if you will, that you can either manipulate and filter and analyze online, or you can download it in a variety of different formats, and then you can do your own analysis on it. But it's so we have quite a different way of searching, a couple of different ways, depending on what your needs are. So, yeah.
So that shows the availability of the parts. Is that pricing information associated with it as well on the site, or?
Yeah, so any of our search results, our standard search results, actually give you a variety of different things. It typically will give you price, it'll give you availability, it'll give you price breakdowns typically, it'll give you minimum order quantities. It'll give you one of the recent features that we've added is it actually gives you supply chain and design risk, right? Life cycle risk, if you will. So there's actually by part number, you will actually see whether this is a part that's considered readily available or a little bit more difficult to get, whether it's recommended for new designs or not. We have some environmental compliance information on there. Data sheets is another thing that we have. And then obviously we have a link to the distributor site, which sometimes even has additional information on their sites that they can't share with us on our site. So there's actually quite a bit available just in the simple part search, and that is available as well in the BOM tool as well. So you can actually search and filter through a lot of those different parameters as well. Okay. So you can look for things that are in stock, or if you have a favorite distributor, you can limit it to that distributor, so on and so forth. So there's quite a bit available there.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's very impressive, actually. So what will it cost somebody to use your site?
Well, so here we go back to the nonprofit status, right? So this is not a moneymaker for ECIA. We really offer this as a service to the industry, and so what we have set up is a model whereby the participating distributors and site sponsors really are the ones that pay for the site. They pay for the development of new features, the maintenance, et cetera, et cetera. And so the distributors are the ones that really fund that. And that allows us then to offer our tools and use of the site for free to end customers and so on and so forth. So it's kind of a unique model in that way. The flip side of it is we don't allow people to buy positioning in our search results. We don't allow we don't play favorites as an association. We have to be fairly agnostic, and so. We do make, in all honesty, we make a distinction between site sponsors who pay a lot more to be on the site than regular, participants. But other than that, some additional visibility. But we're fairly, agnostic in that regard. So it's a unique model. It's a unique model for sure. And you have the old adage, you get what you pay for. But I think in this case that doesn't apply at all, because I think we have some, industry leading tools. And it's awesome to be able to provide those to the industry for free.
Oh, absolutely. No. I didn't realize that, quite frankly. So that's good to hear. Now you mentioned the parametric search, and I saw the press release. I don't know if that just came out or when this came out about that new functionality. And that just makes it really easy and intuitive is the point there, right? So if somebody goes through.
Yeah, and I think it's indicative of the fact that, historically our primary audience has really been purchasing and supply chain procurement type of people, right? Mm-hmm. And let's face it, most of the time, I started out in purchasing 18 years ago. You kind of know what you're looking for. You know the part number, so that's basically what we were looking at. You certainly didn't want a junior buyer like me going in and doing a parametric search and picking out a part for a board.
Right.
That would not have gone well.
Yeah.
Right. But we're starting to pivot a little bit and realizing that, we have a whole other community out there in the engineering world who actually would would
Yeah.
take advantage of things like a parametric search. And so that's one of the things that we're starting to do. And the design risk analysis that we provide as well. I mean, that again is geared as much to engineers as it is to procurement people, right? So that they don't get stuck designing a part in thinking everything is great and then finding out it's a total disaster when it goes to production. So,
Right.
so yeah, that's part of our thinking these days.
Okay. Anything else coming? You want to tease anything else coming down the horizon with ECIA or within?
Well, yeah, as a
trusted
matter of
parts?
fact, if for people that have already been on our homepage, I think in the next month or so, you're going to see a brand new homepage. We're actually going to make access to our tools even easier. We're actually going to let the world know about our tools a little bit more. I don't think we've done such a great job to let everybody know all the great things that are on the site. We're also coming out with a BOM management tool, if you will, that really allows you to set alerts for things like life cycle risk, design or availability, risk, pricing changes, stock and availability changes. So basically, what you'll get is a menu of 4 or 5 different items that you can choose to get informed about when any part on your BOM, any of the statuses of those parts changes on your BOM. And so you can do it by frequency. We're not going to bombard you with emails, morning, noon, and night. You can decide to get them, once a day, once a week, once a month. But the idea being is that it is a proactive way for us to let you know that, hey, something on your BOM that you care about is changing. Yeah. And it gives you the opportunity to proactively take a look at it and see if anything is needed. So that's really kind of a cool thing. We do that by individual part number now, but we're migrating that to actually do that for an entire BOM, which in many cases I think will be really helpful. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, we're going to look at a way whereby users can come onto our site and get a better sense of what distributors are authorized for what manufacturer, right? Today, all our authorizations are behind the firewall, if you will, right? We manage that. And the only way you know that somebody is authorized is if you get a search result and they show up, then by definition they are. What we are endeavoring to do is actually make it easier for folks to be able to come onto our site and just do a sanity check to say, hey, is this person or this company, authorized for that? In all truthfulness, it's going to be what we show as being authorized, not necessarily, a complete catalog of all the authorizations everywhere, because that's just too massive. But it will reflect what we show in our system, which I think that in and of itself will be pretty helpful. I mean, we've got quite a few distributors and manufacturer combinations in there. So, yeah.
Well, it sounds like you really kind of, and you said within the next month we'll be seeing a lot of this. So it sounds like you're really kind of making yourself more of a resource for the industry.
Absolutely. I mean, that's our goal, right? And we're constantly brainstorming and thinking about new things to do. So, that's a fun thing about working with engineers. They constantly think about new stuff. So,
everything is possible. Exactly.
Everything is possible if you just have enough money. You can do almost anything, right? So, not everything they come up with is necessarily something we actually move forward with. But in all seriousness, the other thing we actually pay attention to is we actually have a feedback loop on our website. And we get a lot of input from various users, and we actually use those to enhance our BOM tools and our various other features. So a lot of the changes that we continually make on our site are actually a direct reflection of inputs that we get from our users. So I would encourage anybody, if you have an idea, let us know. It may not be doable. I can't promise everything will get done, but that's, users of the site are the ones that have the best ideas, I think. So, we try to imagine what people want, but then there's people out there with actual needs. So anything we can do to discover those would be great.
Right. That's excellent. Well, Victor, thank you. This has been very informative. I look forward to getting you on again and maybe later this year and get some updates on how this is all going and how this has evolved, because it sounds like I said, it sounds like you're making yourself more of a resource for the greater industry, not just the members that you serve, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is definitely an industry-wide resource, not just our members. Yeah.
Okay. Well, excellent, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time and have a great weekend.
I will absolutely do that. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.